Joe Rogan, in talking with President Trump, showed that President Trump is much more kind of JFK than any Democrat today, even much more than RFK Jr. Now, I say that because of what President Trump has been fighting. President Trump has been fighting a military-industrial complex that used to be the things that Democrats fought. So here's a great for instance. Sean Spicer worked in the White House, worked with the Trump campaign. Sean had been at one point the chairman of the RNC, met him, talked to him a couple times, nice guy. Sean tells this story about President Trump. When he was talking about Afghanistan and he was talking about our placements around the world, he was hearing from his generals what they said the troops needed to be able to do their jobs the right way. And then President Trump did something that's not done. In a way, it's not to be done. And it's Sean Spicer's belief that that was the moment that the generals began to hate him, specifically General Kelly, who had been President Trump's chief of staff. I'll tell you what Trump did because it speaks to what leaders do. And it's one of the reasons why he's more like JFK than any Democrat today. It's not just this comparison to RFK Jr. I mean, RFK Jr., of course, is part of the Kennedy family. He's more like JFK than the rest of his family, for sure. And on this topic of health, RFK Jr. has really been right for a long time. He's been all over the pharmaceutical industrial complex in our country, which bears great resemblance to the military industrial complex. They're almost the same thing these days. That is, they become one with big government. That's why they're able to ban treatments like those I get in Mexico from Renew.Healthcare. They're able to ban them in these countries, our country. They would rather have placentas and umbilical cords burned as medical waste than to extract from them the unbelievably potent stem cells that Renew.Healthcare makes into a Wharton's jelly approach to stem cells. They take the original stem cells, they culture them so they can have more of them, and they use them to help repair cartilage, muscle, tendon in people's bodies and to destroy inflammation. These cells are so powerful. So you might be being told, hey, sorry the surgery didn't work. That's all we can do. Probably not true. You can find that at Renew.Healthcare. You might be being told, yeah, you're just going to have to live with bone on bone until we can do a full knee replacement. That might not be true. If there's enough cartilage in your knee, and Renew will tell you, or your hip, they can go in and put in the stem cells and help regrow that very quickly. I've had it done twice. Go to Renew.Healthcare. It's RENUE.Healthcare, and elevate your quality of life by getting actual healthcare. Renew.Healthcare. So President Trump brought in the enlisted people. Yeah, right out of the field. What do you guys need? And it enraged General Kelly and others. You're going around this? Yeah, I'd like to hear directly from them. And the enlisted people did not say the same things that the people who were running the military said. JFK had a military that was absolutely committed to a war with Russia. They, in fact, at some points demanded that he fire a first nuclear strike. They wanted him to go into Cuba. They were willing to have a false flag operation to force Kennedy to go into Cuba. This is called Project Northwoods. It's not a secret any longer. So President Trump is much more like JFK in this way, that he's fighting that complex and the intelligence complex. The intelligence complex was turned against JFK, as it's been turned against President Trump. And, of course, now we have the media that's much more against President Trump than they ever were against JFK. At the time, I think the Mockingbird media loved JFK. Well, he didn't live through that time, but that seems to be the case. YouTube is the second most powerful search engine in the world, and it's steering users away from the Joe Rogan interview. It doesn't want you to get the full interview. It's fine with you getting some clips and really happy if you get reaction videos, but they do not want people watching the full 3-hour video. There are over 34 million views of Rogan's podcast with President Trump, and yet it's nowhere to be found. This is someone searching from their phone looking for the Joe Rogan Trump interview. And it's clips, it's reaction videos, it's people, quote, debunking it, but you do not get to the full video, which is what people have did. There's the Young Turks. It's probably an ad, the Young Turks. There's CNN's response, another CNN response. There's some analysis from MSNBC. Look at that. Everything but the actual interview with President Trump and Joe Rogan. And YouTube knows exactly what people are searching for. So they could change it, but they won't. This is Joe Rogan asking President Trump about the JFK files.
One of the things that I want to talk to you about is the JFK files. And one of the things that you said was that if they showed you what they showed me, this was your quote, you wouldn't want people to know it either.
So I opened them up partially. I was met with, from good people, good people. People that were well-meaning. Mike Pompeo was one of them. He's a good person. They called me. They said, "Sir, would rather have you not." And I did open them, but I was asked by some people not to open them. There's a Martin Luther King file too, by the way, that they'd like to see. I don't know if you know, but there is that. But JFK in particular. So they called me. A lot of good people called me. People that that you would find reasonable people, and they asked me not to do it. So I said, "Well, we'll close it for another time." But if I win, I'm going to open them up. I'm just going to open enough.
Why didn't you open it up the first time?
Because
though?
a lot of times,
what was the hesitation? Though?
Addresses, people that are still living. There are people that are affected, and there could be some national security reason that that I don't have to necessarily know about. But some very good, talented people asked me not to do it. I opened it up, and then they said, "Would it be possible for us to do that a different day?"
How much of it did you read into?
I think it's going to be just fine to open it. Let me put it that way. I think it's fine. It's going to be time. It's a cleansing. It's really a cleansing.
It is time. Most of the people involved in this, including the conspirators against JFK, and there were many, are dead. Some of them have airports named after him. When we're going around and destroying monuments to the Civil War, albeit for the side that fought for slavery and or states' rights, we have airports named after people who are on record conspiring against the President of the United States. I mean, they want to put Joe Biden on Mount Rushmore. He conspired. President Trump is much more like JFK in this as well. For whatever reason, and God knows, and I mean literally God knows, despite his wealth, despite growing up with a wealthy father, despite Wharton Business School, all that, for whatever reason, I don't know that I'll ever understand it, President Trump has a distinct and real affection for and connection to people who work with their hands and people who built America. Maybe it's because he's been in construction and he's just watched how hard that job is. And it extends into other portions of society. People who work in jobs that the Democrats consider menial, President Trump appreciates. Hence the magic of the McDonald's moment. Lord, thank you for reminding us that you can use people like President Trump. Thank you for showing us this. And please do pray that when President Trump releases those files, he's going to be okay and protected, continue to be protected.